Can you hear me at the back?
Yes. Excellent. Good. Well,
Can you hear me at the front?
it is a great pleasure to be able to introduce our next guest. I'm afraid there aren't many of you left, Peter, directors on The Prisoner.
No.
So we're glad to have you with us. Please put your hands together and welcome. So can I ask, your first experience of working with McGowan on Danger Man, do you have any recollections of the programme? You directed 7 episodes, I believe.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it was a little bit stiff at the beginning because he had heard about me. I'd been quite successful on the BBC, and then when ITV started, I went to them immediately. And I had a big success with something called The Last Enemy, which I also wrote, which was an adaptation of Richard Hillary's experience as a Battle of Britain pilot. He was a very upper-class undergraduate, and he was in the Oxford squadron, and in the Battle of Britain, because he was so arrogant, he didn't wear gloves and didn't wear his mask. He got burnt on the face and hands very badly. And his book was very clever. It told in detail how he stopped being arrogant and became more compassionate to his fellow men, and realised that the war was being fought by everybody, by old charwomen, getting bombed and so on. So I'd had this success, and McGowan knew about this. So he was a bit sort of, we were very cool to each other for perhaps a day, and then suddenly I made him laugh, and then it all happened, and we did become very good friends, particularly on later on Jamaica Inn, when which I actually produced. It was directed by Lawrence Gordon Clark, and this had James Seymour and some very good other actors, and he insisted that we had breakfast together every morning because he didn't want everyone else to come and sit down with him.
Was he an easy actor to direct?
No, because he was always sure there was something better. And this was not true. He would sometimes deliver a perfect take, and he would say, "I'm not sure about that," or the way I said that line, and he would say, "Patrick, please, it was wonderful," and you had to sort of cushion him a bit. But despite all that, I mean, he was a very experienced stage actor. Remember that he'd been in Moby Dick with Orson Welles, he'd been in the stage play that Orson Welles did with Moby Dick, and he'd done a lot of things. He actually was reputed, I never checked this, to have played King Lear at Sheffield at the age of 23. So, but I never checked this, but somebody told me this. So he was a very good actor, actually, and I think that is one of the reasons for The Prisoner, because I think he started to regret having done so many Danger Mans when he could have perhaps worked in Old Vic, or he could have done Shakespeare, he could have done all sorts of things in the West End. He had been in the West End. He was in a thing called Serious Charge, where he played a man accused of a homosexual attack on a choir boy. But there was nothing homosexual about Patrick, I think. So that was playing against character.
Are you the type of director that if something goes wrong on a take, do you try and fix it in the edit stage, or would you insist on another take?
Well, I would fix it on another take, but on live television, I was doing The Quare Fellow, which is the Brendan Beale story, and the 5 prisoners were standing around where they were supposed to be digging the grave for the man who was going to be hanged tomorrow. And I had 3 cameras, and each was doing an individual close-up, then having to move to the next individual close-up, and then go back to the close-up we'd done before. And this had all been carefully rehearsed with them, but then suddenly one camera broke down. So luckily, we had a camera 5 on a high rostrum, and I said, "Get a shot of the group." And so this guy got a shot of the group. He lifted the boom out of the shot, and we played the rest of the scene on this 5-shot. And even the Daily Telegraph said this awesome look at the prisoners round the grave. And then the door suddenly burst open, and Mrs. Brownrigg, who was the head of Captain Brownrigg was the head of Associated British Fusion, and she said, "Oh, I really do believe they're on the air." I said, "Shut up, for Christ's sake." We have a problem. So I was then called to Captain Brownrigg tomorrow for the following day for using foul language to a lady. And I said, "Well, you would have used foul language if you were in the state I was in at the time, but we were on the air."
Do you bring the same approach to directing actors? Do they need telling firmly what to do, do you think? Or do you try to...
There's no such thing as telling an actor firmly what to do. No.
You have to cajole them, do you, rather than tell them?
Well, it's a relationship thing, you know. They trust you. If they trust you, you say, why don't we make this man a man who hates women? And he says, well, but I like women. And you say, well, yes, but make this man a woman hater. And we tried. It rather works or it doesn't.
Yeah.
This is the point of rehearsals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so filming something like Danger Man, though, for example,
yes.
You don't get that chance to, you know, the actors learn the script and then they're on set.
Yes.
And at that point, do you have meetings on set with them? Is it all just on the
Oh, no.
floor?
No, if anyone comes up with a good idea, you have to be instant and think, yes, all right, we'll try. But it takes 5 minutes out of your day, and now 5 minutes in the director's day is, on those sort of schedules, is very important.
Is it? Yeah.
Yes.
So would you welcome input from the actors, or would you go, the director, so I'm the director, this is what happens, or do you welcome?
No, that's auto premature. That's you know, that's the Teutonic. I am just a director. You can do what I say. Yes. That's verflucht. It's out.
Yeah. Did you find that you'd make a Danger Man, one of the hour-long Danger Man episodes, that being on a 10-day turnaround? Did you find the fact that working to a really tight deadline, was that something that suited you, or did you not particularly like that? Would you like more time to work on these episodes?
No, I think the time thing is a very, very good thing, because you can, I feel that cameramen, if they feel they have time, take a lot of time and just get the lights just right. And it's wasting your time, because you've rehearsed your actors, they're ready to go, and then he suddenly says, oh, can we put the spot round a bit, and then the guys lift it, and you know, and all the energy that you put into the scene has then got to be worked up again.
Yeah.
So I felt that a lot of studio lighting was a waste of time, a waste of the director's time. But then that's a typical director's attitude.
Do you have any specific memories of working on the Danger Man episodes? Because you did 7, so
yes. After
you made the first one, they obviously liked what they saw.
Yes, they did.
They'd like you to do that 6 more times to direct.
Yes. The reason I did 7 was that we were building a house at the time, and frankly, I liked having the sort of money they were doing, which I could put into a house, which is greed, and but that's it.
Did you come on the location shoots at all for Danger Man, or was it very much in MGM?
No, it was MGM, and the outside of MGM became anywhere, you know, the American Embassy in Caracas or whatever.
Yeah.
But I did go with a helicopter and to a gravel pits near Joe's Cross. And we did desert scenes for that. And a double for Patrick getting out of the helicopter. But then the day before I went on this one-day shoot, and praying for sunny weather, Charlie Friend came up to me, the director of another picture, another episode, and he said, oh, by the way, I've got a scene where there's a helicopter circling overhead. Can you just knock off a couple of shots of helicopter circling overhead? I said, fine, yes, sure. And then another director came, I think it was Pat Jackson or somebody, came up and said, I hear you're doing something for Charlie. get me a shot of a double for Patrick coming out, and I said, well, what's he wearing? And they said, oh, he's wearing khaki drill or something. I said, oh, well, my man is not going to be wearing khaki drill, so there'll be a change. He said, yes, we'll provide you with a costume. So, and I think I ended up with 3 directors' work, as well as my own, for this gravel pit scene.
Yeah.
Luckily, the sun shone.
Yeah.
The sun shone.
I heard on the commentary earlier on that you seem to be very impressed with the production values on Danger Man and the work of the art department.
Yes. The art department. Was it Frank Green? I think it was.
I can't remember. It was John Champagne on the Prisoner, wasn't it?
All the people on the McGowan things were very, very professional. Whether he chose, well, it wasn't him. It was Aida Young, who was the lady who was a tough production manager. But we used to have hoots of laughter. She used to invite me to have a drink in her room after the shoot, and we used to have chats about it. My wife was, and I said, oh, it's overtime again.
Now, that was nice when you're saying you had a lot of laughs on the set. I mean, I don't know if you ever worked on the set, but the stories of work. Say it was a laugh a minute working with Roger Moore on the set because he was a practical joker. And was it like that with McGowan? It wasn't.
No,
it wasn't.
No, not at all. Deadly serious.
The other thing that you did plenty of episodes on was the Avengers. Now, was that as much fun off screen as it appears to be on? It was much more light-hearted and frothy stuff, really, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was light-hearted because Patrick McNee is a very warm and friendly and funny man. He's very much cleverer than he appears. And he and Diana Rigg, and I directed all the tests for the ladies who were to be chosen, all 16 or 15 or something. I think we were 15 because we did 3 a day for 5 days.
Was this casting the Diana Rigg character, was it?
Yes, it's a casting of the Diana Rigg character because we had a girl called Barbara Shepherd originally. She did the whole scene.
Elizabeth Shepherd.
Elizabeth Shepherd, sorry.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Shepherd, and she did the whole of the first episode. One night we were on location in Hunstanton, and she came to my room, knocked on the door, and said, can I have a word? I said, oh yes, come in. She said, no, I won't come in, but I will show you. And she said, this is the answer to my lady. She always called her captain my lady.
Yeah.
So I said, oh really? And she said, yes, it's a chronometer. And every time she's stumped for an answer, she points to the chronometer and does a little fiddle and says, there, the chronometer says so-and-so. And I said, what? This isn't visual. We will have you finding out about cookery or finding out about something else. Not just tapping your wrist and saying,
an active device.
Active device. So, and she went away, and she wouldn't speak to me after that. We were on location, and I would say, would you go to and the assistant director had to say, he wants you to go back to the door and come through. Yes, all that.
Well, it's hard to imagine.
So we fired her. I mean, it's very simple. Yeah. And so then we tested these 15 ladies. I didn't have time at the end. So on the Friday night, the last girl, because the last but one girl had not learned her lines, it was very difficult. I suddenly realised we've got about 30 minutes to do 3 scenes, which is impossible, with the new girl. So I said to the new girl, well, I'm afraid we're going to just have to do a big close-up of you, and Patrick will feature the lines. Imagine you're in the various places, and please act. And so this girl did this, and it was, of course, Diana Rigg, and of course she certainly got the part anyway.
She was the very last one to be seen, was she?
Oh, totally.
It's hard to imagine the Avengers without Diana Rigg, really, isn't it? It's such a perfect partnership.
Yeah, perfect. And she was fun. I mean, she was also, she had no fear at all. I mean, I rehearsed a double on the trampoline, and the following morning I found Diana was practicing on the trampoline. She said, "I don't need a double, I can do this." I said, "What? You're supposed to leap on the trampoline and slash your way through a window." She'd left that bit out.
So she was good at the stuff, but we had a chat with Frank Mayer, who McGowan's double on The Prisoner, and he used to say that Patrick Whitney was hopeless at the stunt stuff. That's why I developed the technique with the umbrella put in the arms and things, because he couldn't do a fight scene to save his life, according to Frank, who was the stunt arranger.
That's a little hard on it. Patrick, in one of the things we've seen today, yesterday, he took a punch on the chin that really was a punch on the chin. I didn't direct that.
McNee or McGowan. Frank was talking about Patrick McGowan. No, Frank was talking about Patrick McNee on the Avengers not being very good at the stunts.
Oh, McNee was a fumbler. Yes, but he was such a nice man. But anything with props, it would suddenly get, and then he'd get the shakes or he'd get something wrong. He always, or he turned the wrong page or something.
No, Frank Mayer speaks very highly of Patrick McGowan as a stunt actor, He says he could have been a stuntman if he'd have...
no,
different
career.
Yes. Talking about that then, how the Prisoner, when you came to work on The Prisoner, was it just another job, or did you think, hang on, this series is something slightly different to Danger Man and the Avengers? It's got things to say.
Well,
do you get a sense of that? Or?
I will tell you. By then, I'd become a producer at the BBC, and I was producing a very successful series called The Troubleshooters, which was about Mogul oil. The first series was called Mogul, and then it became The Troubleshooters. And we were preparing the second series of this, so I wasn't actually in the studio or in rehearsal even, but we were in a nice stage of casting, interesting parts and getting scripts right and so on. And my phone rang on a Friday night, and it was, a voice said, "This is Patrick McGowan." And I said, "Oh yes, how are you, Patrick?" He said, "Leave all that." He said, You're going to come down to MGM on Monday and start directing my new series, The Prisoner." And I said, "What?" And he said, "The script will arrive tomorrow by motorcycle at your house." So that was it. And so I then rang him and said, "Look, I think you have to talk to Sidney Newman, who's the head of drama at BBC, to see if it's possible for me to come for 2 weeks." So a lot of phoning happened, and Sidney rang me and he said, "Can you take 2 weeks out?" and all this sort of thing. But anyway, the 2 weeks was arranged. And I went on the Monday morning, but having read the script several times, I then luckily had lunch with George Markstein. I did what I had to in the morning, but I said to George, "What is all this?" And George says, "Well, he regrets Danger Man having gone on so long, I think. And I think this is a sort of trying to say he is now a prisoner of his own success. And he's trying to say it in an obscure way, which, and I said, of course, yes, that is it. Now work on that principle, which I did. And it was it became suddenly, Patrick and I suddenly found a great rapport, which we hadn't even had on Danger Man. And we did have a rapport on that. But one night, about the second Thursday, which is the 9th day of the 10th, an actor came to me, and it was 20 to 6, and I knew I'd got to get this quite fairly long scene by 10 to 6 when they packed up. And there was no question of overtime or anything like that. So I said, "Oh, what is it?" And he said, "I can't say this line." And I said, "Look, think of the money." And a voice behind me said, "You haven't done your homework." It was Patrick.
Talking to the actor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, what am I to say?" And he said, "Well, see what the boy does." And of course, the boy delivered the line, and sort of but it was just an actor getting a little stage fright. And
well, that happens, does it? They even get stage fright before a take without an audience there.
Yes, you see,
dry up.
The danger is that you work up the emotion and the passion and the energy of a scene, and then everybody goes and sits down, and the lighting man says, right, well, move the boat a bit over to that way, yes, a bit, and you feel the adrenaline all zipping out, everything, and you've then got to get your actors back to where they were at the last rehearsal and shoot it. You see, that's the point. And sometimes your actors have had a chat and they've had a cup of tea and they thought, and who were you with last night and all that sort of thing. And oh yes, come on, yes, we'll do the scene. And you don't get that drive and that guts that has got to be there because the audience are paying you.
Of course, Now, the thing is, I wanted to ask, did you find any difference with McGoohan between working with him on Danger Man and on The Prisoner? Was he under more pressure on The Prisoner because he was executive producer? And
yes, he was living in the studio. This is a thing. He was a prisoner. He, I used to worry about that because he didn't go home every night. He often stayed overnight in the studio. And he often stayed at the weekends working on the script for the Monday that we would start. Well, I wouldn't start, but a director would start.
Did you think it ever affected his performance? And he's a pretty powerful actor in The Prisoner, isn't he?
Well, he's so powerful. I don't think it did. No, I mean, I do admire the man. He's incredibly. He will get energy into any scene, really, and that's the key to it.
And your episode, The General, what did you think? It was obviously Louis Griefer wrote the script, and it had a lot to say about education. Did you when you read the plot, did you think, well, there's something I can do something with this education plot, or was it just let's get 5 minutes a day in the can? And did it fire you up the plots of the thing?
No, it didn't fire me up with plot until I had lunch with George Marsden on Monday when I was actually shooting.
I see.
And I think that gave me a clue. And then I did.
Did you find it quite difficult before that to get a handle on what the series was about?
Yes, that's right. Well, I thought it was superficial, and it was anything but superficial. It was part of McGoohan's life, definitely.
Yeah. Did you get the impression there was tension between McGoohan and Mark Stein at that stage? Because they certainly fell out, didn't they? And
they did
Mark
fall
Stein
out.
eventually left the series, didn't he?
Well, yeah, because Mark Stein said he thought it was his idea, and I think, Patrick thought it was his idea. I think it was a bit of both, personally, Who can say whose idea is what?
Yeah.
But then he came and worked for me when I was producing in Jamaica. And of course, then we got on like a house on fire. That would have been his old.
That would have been 14, 15 years later. Was it 1980 Jamaica?
Yes.
Even later, 83.
1960, I was doing.
82.
And then it was 82. Yes. So that's 22 years.
When you met up again, was it like was it old friends, or did you have to read?
Yes, I mean, he insisted that I had breakfast with him every morning. But that was just to keep people out.
You produced Jamaica?
I produced it.
You didn't direct Jamaica?
No, I didn't direct.
No. It looked a very expensive production, was it?
It was expensive, yes, because we crashed a boat. We deliberately crashed a boat.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be wrecked on the rocks, and so we arranged. We didn't arrange for a storm, but during a night when we knew there was going to be a high tide, we arranged that the ship would be crashed onto the rocks. Unfortunately, it crashed onto the rocks at 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And we did. I had a second unit there standing by, and radioed the first unit who were up on the cliffs doing something else. Come on down immediately. And so we actually got the crash with the second unit, and then they came, and that is a very interesting thing because everyone really jumped to it, and we got there, and this is in more or less the winter, and so the light was going, and I said to the cameraman said, "Can you get the two big arts down here?" And the electrician said, the chief electrician said, yes, certainly, and he told one of his men, and his men said, what about our dinner break? And he uttered a thing that I have never heard any man say to his crew, certainly not an electrician. He said, beggar your dinner break, I have to get these shots. And I had never known such an experience. I mean,
film crews are notoriously militant, aren't they?
Yes, they are, and ours were no different from anybody else. And that was, it was actually buggy, I didn't say that.
Yes.
But, you know, it was really, that was it.
The stuff he did for HTV is, I'm a big fan. I'm sure many of you from your youth remember Children of the Stones. I remember that beautiful shot in the lovely village of Avebury in Wiltshire. Excellent series with Ian Richardson and Gareth Thomas. I mean, did you? That's one of my favourite children's series.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
Ian Cuthbertson. Sorry.
The idea was to, when I went to HTV, I was fed up with the BBC because they'd appointed a man I didn't like as head of drama series, and I'd always had a great relationship with Andrew Osborne, who was head of drama series up to then, and he retired and so I met Patrick John Gould of HTV in Cannes, at the Cannes TV festival, and he said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm having a terrible time at the BBC. He said, well, look, just read, this is the first script. And I read it, and I said, that is very good. And he said,
Children of the Stones?
Yeah, Children of the Stones. And he then gave me the first 6, and it was 7, I think it was, or if it was 6, yes, it's 7.
Yeah, 7.
So he gave me the first 6, and I said, well, how does it all come out? He said, I will only tell you if you agree to come and direct it, because we need this to prove to the Americans and everybody else that we can do proper location shooting with a big crew and everything. And so I said, all right, yes. So I resigned from the BBC and went I thought I was going for 3 months, and I went for 16 years. The longest job I had with anybody, because I liked it so. It was a freedom of doing, you know, I mean, I wanted to do Kidnap, the Ron season, which the BBC has shown a recent version, which is nothing like our version. Well, I have to modestly say this was a German co-production with German and French. And the Germans delivered a script full of sadism and violence and everything else like that. And I said, we can't shoot this. So, well, this is the script that the second German network has approved, so we have to shoot it. And I said, look, this has got to be true to Robert Louis Stevenson, who was a Scots writer, and that I'm very partial to Scots writers, and I think he should, we should do something about the script. So Patrick said, go home and write your own script. So I wrote my own script, and I was doing it by hand, and motorcyclists were being shunted up to, from my home in Wintlesham to Bristol, and typing was being rapidly thing. And luckily, the Second German Network read it in English, and they passed it. They said, yes, this is better. Das ist besser. So we did it with David McCallum, you know, really top class. And that was probably the thing that got us the job. Well, that and Jamaica in, got us the job with Columbia. We had a very solid deal with Columbia as well.
Well, at that time with HTV, it was there was some great stuff. It was that period, Into the Labyrinth, a very imaginative children's drama with much of it. You didn't do King of the Castle, did you?
No, I didn't do King of the Castle, but that was very good.
It was a period where HTV were coming out with very imaginative stuff for children.
Yes, they were. Yes.
And with Children of the Stones, was that an enjoyable experience to work on? Based in Avebury?
Well, because it's based at Avebury. I was going home every night actually, but it was only just down the motorway. hard answer. But I preferred to go home, really. And the weather was just like today.
Beautiful, yeah.
For weeks and weeks, it seemed. We did all those locations in beautiful sunny weather.
Well, that would have been one of the years commemorated on the Hercules Hall statue. 76, would that have been the summer of 76? 75 or 76, yeah, one of the really hot summers, beautiful summers, you know.
Yes.
It's all, in a way, it was almost like The Prisoner, but in some ways it was about a man and his son who were trapped in this village, weren't they? They couldn't get out. So every time they tried to get out, they were blocked by standing stones in the road and things.
That's right, yes.
And it was circular. Because the ending, if you remember the ending, was the Ian Cuthbertson character. After having been killed, moving into the village again, ready to start it all up again. And that's a Prisoner connection, because just like The Prisoner, the series is cyclical, and people, I wondered at the time if you made the connection at all. Did you make the connection between these similarities between Children of the Stones and The Prisoner? Or it was
no, I never did. No, curiously enough,
they were trapped in this sinister village, weren't they?
I also actually enjoyed working with the young, they were 16, 15 years old children. They weren't really children. I mean, they were. But I think the girl was only about 14, but she was very mature, and it just.
Great cast as well. With
yes.
Ian Cuthbertson was a terrific villain.
Yes. Okay.
Well, I think we're going to have to end it there, Peter. So that's great. We're going to have a 10-minute break, but before we do it, I'd like you all to thank Peter very much. On the same bit of